Most of you are fucking nothing. You're dudes that are stuck on the fucking internet, and that's why your life looks like shit. I just did a video talking about if you put $50 into a shoebox or $50 into Bitcoin, if you did that every day for a year, you'd have $18,500 some dollars. And inevitably, whenever I post that up there, there's 30, 40 people that are like, hey, yeah, that makes sense. With $18,000, you could do, or at least start all those things you're talking about not being able to do. And inevitably, there's always some dude that shows up. It's like, well, that's just your perspective, because there's a lot of people that don't have $50 to put away every day. Well, then put 5 away. Put 10 away. Better yet, let's evaluate what you're doing with your time that you can't put $50 away, because $50 today isn't shit. $50 today is less than $5 was when I was a kid, right? And I was still, as a 13-year-old kid, would get on a bus, change the bus twice, ride the bus 90 minutes to go to McDonald's to make $3.85 an hour, where I flipped burgers. Literally, that's what I did. I flipped burgers. It's just perspective. You're right when you say that. And when I talk about the $50, the point of the video is not the financial advice. The point of the video was, why the fuck can people not put $50 away every day, right? That's exactly the point of the video. So when I look at those people saying that, most oftentimes, they're homesteaders, right? Because you have two kinds of homesteaders. You have homesteaders that live in poverty, never step out of the property, and strive their entire goal of their life is to live like Little House on the Prairie and not do commerce, right? They want to live that rural, old school lifestyle, no problem. But I ask you, why are you on a fucking smartphone interjecting into my conversation about why you can't afford $50 each day of your life? I don't care if it's $50. Put in 50 a week. I don't give a shit. You're completely missing the fucking point. But there's always that person telling me why what I said was incorrect. Now, I say that to say this. This is a weird flex, right? Well, I've been to fucking prison. Oh, that's a fucking weird thing to say, to brag about. I say that because there's always this do-nothing motherfucker who tells me why he can't do some shit. But when you look at his life, right? When you look at his social media, he's got 2 cars he's paying a fucking payment on. He's got a shitty-ass apartment that he's paying a payment on. He's got fucking video game systems, and he's all over the place all hours of the night. See, you and I, we're not the fucking same. We're both human beings, but we maneuver and operate differently, right? I don't sit and play video games. I don't watch TV shows. I don't sit in front of an entertainment monitor, right? Being programmed. I use my 24 hours to do things that make money, and I have figured out how to take the things I love to do and also monetize those things, right? If you tell me you can't afford something, I tell you that you're using your time improperly. Now, I don't care what you do. I don't care at all what you do until you include yourself in my conversation. I don't care one little bit if you tell me you don't want to, but you cannot tell me that you cannot, because I can always show you people in a worse situation that did and still do what you say is not doable. I came home from prison and literally was at the halfway house less than 30 minutes, and a dude walked in and served me divorce papers and a restraining order. Now, I knew shit was sideways with the wife, but I thought, at least I've got my kids and I have my business. I never stepped foot back in that business, not one fucking day of my life. I never got any of my assets back. I never got any of those things. It was literally as though the entirety of my life from coming home before prison was just burnt up into ashes. That stuff didn't come back. It wasn't returned. I went to court, got a lawyer, paid the lawyer what little money I could get together, and was going to court. And finally I just said, you know what? I'm not even going to fight it. Fuck it. She can have it. And I just put all of my effort and time into business. Do you know what happened during that time? Let me back up a couple of months. The day that they served me divorce papers and restraining order. When you're in the halfway house from the federal prison system, there's, I don't know, maybe 100 beds in this one facility. There's 100 dudes renting that bed. Once you have a job and you've been there a couple weeks, you don't have to stay there. You still have to pay rent. It's a license to steal. I am still in Bureau of Federal Prisons custody for 6 months. But to be able to leave the halfway house, for maybe the first month, I'm able to go home on weekends. Home, what are we calling home? Not where I lived, not where any of my shit was, not where my 15 years worth of business and things that I accumulated and earned. I didn't get to go back to any of those. I got to go to my mother's house. So by having a job, you're able to leave the halfway house. Well, how do you get a job? You're allowed to leave the halfway house to look for a job. The first day I was there, I left the halfway house. My sister was letting me use one of her husband's old trucks. It was a Dodge Dakota with a Flowmaster dual chamber exhaust. So it's everywhere you drove, just ridiculous. But at least I had a vehicle to drive. I had a pair of pants that an ex-girlfriend bought, and I had a couple of shirts that my mother purchased, and that's what I had when I came home. When you're in the prison system, they take all of your stuff when they dress you out, and they have you address a box, and they mail all your shit home. You know what else goes home with you? Your driver's license, your social security card, everything that you came into prison with goes. Where did that go? My ex-wife, who has served me with divorce papers and a restraining order. So I am here as myself with one pair of pants. I think I had a pair of underwear, a couple pairs of socks, and 2 t-shirts. That's literally what I had. That's it. The pair of shoes I was wearing, I had for 22 months while I was in Lompoc prison. And I would walk the track and run and work out. My big toe was sticking through. So those are the shoes that I'm wearing out in society. I leave to go look for a job. I went back, since I was going to be staying at Mom's house, I went back to the neighborhood where I grew up, and I went to a pizza place. Walked into Round Table Pizza. When I left for prison, cell phones were just talking. There was no texting. When I came home from prison, you could text. My mom picked me up with an ex-girlfriend, and she was sitting in the back seat, and her and I were texting back and forth, and I got car sick because I had never texted, and I hadn't driven in a vehicle, much less with my head down, for, 6 hours back from San Diego to Lompoc by Santa Barbara. Maybe it was more than that. So when I come home, I have cell phone, right? So I figured, okay, I'm going to start putting my business back together in some manner. It would be advantageous to be able to use the phone. Where can I work? So to get out of the halfway house and be able to use the phone, pizza delivery driver. I did that through high school. I did that after high school. That was always the fallback, right? You could always make cash and have time. You could listen to music and deliver pizzas. So I went to a pizza place, Round Table Pizza, walked in. I'm like, hey, I would like a pizza delivery job. By the way, I just came home yesterday from Lompoc prison. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, this guy's been in prison. He's going to have some problems. I said, let me explain to you why this is advantageous for you to hire me. They drug test me all the time. If you say I did something or you had some issue with me, they put me back in prison. I go, I'm going to work for you for 6 months. When I leave here in 6 months, I'm going to be the employee that 2 years later, you're like, I wish I could have John back. I said, on top of that, let me tell you, I want a delivery driver job, but I don't have any insurance, I don't have license, I don't have registration, I don't have anything to show you who I even am. So hire me today, and you give me till, I think it was a Wednesday. I go, you give me till next Wednesday, and I will come in and work every day for you. And if I cannot provide documentation, you don't have to pay me, and you won't ever see me again. So I was able to go out, and now I have this job. They actually gave me the job. They're like, okay, you can make pizzas in the interim until you have your documentation. The next day, I went out to look for another job. While I was out, I went to my original bank. They opened up my bank account, showed me where some of my funds had moved, when they moved, went to the DMV, was able to start the process of getting a driver's license. Got my driver's license, my temporary, got the insurance that I needed under my name, and got a second job working for my friend at Gaetano's Pizza, he worked at Gaetano's, now he owns Gaetano's. years later. Now 2 jobs. I go to Pizza Hut and get a 3rd job. My point to all this is, I haven't been home even 1 week out of the Bureau of Prisons custody from Lompoc, and I had 3 jobs totaling 80 hours a week. It's just what you do with your time, right? Me, because that's what dudes talking shit like to throw out, well, you're a felon. Yeah, you're right. So why is my life so much better than all these motherfuckers pointing out that I'm a felon? Or these people who can't afford $50, right? Because I wasn't always able to do what I do. I was in federal prison and came home with 0 fucking money, a pair of shoes that had my big toe sticking through, and I owned 1 pair of pants, and was in the custody of the halfway house for Bureau of Prisons. But the first fucking week I was home, I had accumulated 80 hours of work. So what did I do? Well, when I started driving and delivering pizzas, I called up some of my vendors, got a hold of a couple of my vendors, and said, hey, this is John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. We've done millions of dollars in business. I am home. I'm getting some machines. I need you to believe in me, and I need you to send me some samples. Just send me samples of material. I don't care what they are, just some stuff that I can build product with. I said, you know that whatever we do is going to be big. You know we've done millions of dollars of business in the past. You know that I have 15, 20 years of history of doing business with your company. I need you to help me out. And they sent me partial rolls and samples, because what they'll do is they'll take they'll take pieces and send people 12 inches of this material to see color match or whatever. Well, they sent me a bunch of that shit. At the same time, I had rented 2 sewing machines, and I had 2 sewing machines now. This is probably the 2nd or 3rd week that I'm home. I have a couple of sewing machines in Mom's garage. I have some pieces of material and some webbing, and we start building stuff. The forums, when I went to prison, I was moderating several forums. When I got back from prison, I could not do my login. And when I would contact moderators like Darren Talbot, Egg Roll, that's one of those guys. He was now the big dog, right? He was the moderator of the forum. He ignored all my messages. He ignored my phone calls. He ignored my emails. So I'm getting cock blocked, right? When I talk to James, he tells me he's talked to Darren Talbot and told Darren I was home. But Darren's like, no, I haven't heard from John. That's because he didn't want me to be back into those forums. And there was a couple other dudes like that. So I'm kind of getting cock blocked, but I just start building shit. I open a new account. See, I wanted my accounts back because I had over 50,000 posts on these accounts. Turns out it didn't fucking matter. I just made a new account, John Willis SOE. People knew who I was, and immediately they wanted to start ordering things. See, on top of that 80 hours I was working a week, that was 80 hours of minimum wage work, which I don't know, might have been $7 at the time, $7.50, but it was also tips, a lot of cash tips. So just the 80 hours, you should be able to afford $50 a day, or whatever you allocate yourself. But you know what I did in addition to that? Just off of those forums on the internet, I did over $900,000 of business the first year when I put SOE back together. So in addition to the 3 side jobs, because I know when people hear that, they're like, John, you want me to work 80 hours a week? No, I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't give a fuck what you think. But what I did was work 80 hours a week and then come home to Mom's house in the garage and work all fucking night long building product to accumulate the amount of $960,000 a year. That's what I fucking paid taxes on. The first year I was home from prison, $960,000 through my business, in addition to the 80 hours a week that you're grumbling about having to work. So I can't afford it and I don't want to afford it. Those are 2 fucking different things. And I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't know who you guys are. I am just addressing this, and we're building a piece of content, not for your little bitch ass, because I don't give a fuck what you think. It's for the dudes that are going to hear this repetitively, because every week I send Brandel here these emails, and I'm like, check this out, check this out, check this out. And it's dudes that are like, hey man, I just fucking buckled down for the last year, and now I've stopped my job that I hate. I started a business. I just bought a property, and it's all because of you. It's not because of me. There was tons of dudes saying it. I'm just the dude you heard it on the day you were ready to execute, right? It's just like going to church. All you church dudes, You can go to 100 churches and fucking hate church, but you find the one that vibes with you, right? You want to go to the rock and roll church. You want to go to the fucking black preacher church. You want to go to the fucking gospel singing. There's the one that's going to register. As a child growing up, and even as an older young man, and even at age 30, dudes would reach out to me from other businesses and be like, hey man, I see all this stuff you're putting out on Facebook about all this, the haters and, canceling customers. And they're like, dude, just invest the time into positive shit. I know this is working right now, but every piece of negativity you put back, you're going to get 2 pieces of negativity back. And every piece of positivity, you're going to get 2 pieces of positive. And when you focus on the positive, better shit's going to happen. And when better shit happens, you're going to meet better people. And as you get around better people, they're going to do better and better shit for you. And then you're going to be able to do better shit from the people downstream from you. And I just didn't register it. I'm like, oh, that's some bullshit like karma and crystal rubbing and energy. It really is how you fucking vibrate. It is your frequency. And I was just too fucking stubborn and hard-headed at age 30 to hear it. And I was starting to it was starting to register and mean something at 40. I just turned 51 and I understand it. If I could have taken and if I could go back 20 years and make 30-year-old myself understand frequency and energy and positivity, I can't even fathom how much fucking further we would be and how much more stuff we would be able to do for our people right now. And I say that because it's not that I am responsible for those guys being able to change their lives. I was just the person that they heard on the day they were ready to do it. So fuck those guys who can't, and thank you to those guys who can. And if you're on that edge, instead of saying I can't, ask yourself how you can. It simply is that, it's literally that lever, it's that toggle, it's that light switch. Can't, how can I? Just ask yourself that question, right? Your frequency. Your frequency is what you frequently see. So if you're constantly involved in some bullshit, you're going to be bullshit. If you're constantly striving to be better and be around better people and do better and bigger things, you've got that coming also. It literally is. It's just the toggle of that fucking light switch. Decide whether you want to operate in dark. And I know you got to let me be what I want to be. I was born in, I know, I've seen all the TikTok videos. But you're not Tom Hardy. You're not fucking Batman. Most of you guys posting that shit, most of you are fucking nothing. You're dudes that are stuck on the fucking internet, and that's why your life looks like shit.